Good evening, everyone. It's Charlie. How's everyone doing? I assume good or bad. Hopefully, better than bad. I don't really know what I want to talk about. I don't know how to really structure these things. I'm not one to kind of like shoot from the hip with this kind of stuff because of my oh my god, that's my keys that keep falling down. I'm in my car right now and it's raining outside. So if you're wondering what that pitter patter is, that's what it is. Um, I had thought about all the stuff I wanted to talk about earlier, but because I've got the ADD or ADHD or whatever it's called, I have a really hard time trying to stay on task talking about anything. Um, I kind of wanted to talk about the relationship with my dad. Um, I wanted to talk about my parents. I wanted to talk about the relationship I had with my sister. Um, my relationship with my first child and her mother, and what a clusterfuck of a relationship that was. That was a that might have been the worst relationship I was ever in with my first. With my first, we were never married, so I don't want to use the term baby mama, but that's kind of what it was. Um, so today I was off. I was off today, off work. So it's the weekend. Um, and I had my son all day, and yeah, I'm still living with my wife at my wife's house. And ever since I'm actually finding that doing this, just talking and getting it out, is really it's sort of getting the burden off my shoulders a little bit, or it's kind of like lifting a weight off almost. Um, I don't normally like to talk about things that I feel to people. Well, mainly because I don't have any close friends. That's a big reason. But also, I tell my wife about things, and especially now in the situation we're in, I kind of get in my head that she doesn't care, and that's more of that rumination shit I do. And I think she does care. I don't think that she really cares as much now as she used to, because I think she's kind of over it. But I still like to tell her about things. She still listens. I get the feeling from her that she's kind of ready to move on. And the thing is, like, the past couple of weeks have been really really rough. But the past few days have been good. Like I said, like, I feel like there is a real change happening for the first time. And this isn't just some like bullshit change that I'm creating in my head. To appease her and to make her feel better, temporarily until I fall off the wagon again and forget how much that I hurt her. I feel like it's like I'm actually wanting change. I I tend to normally spend a lot of time playing video games on my computer. It seems like anytime when I get a spare minute, that's what I'm doing. Instead of doing something productive, it's get on my computer and play some video games. And like I've probably told you before, she hates video games. Video games are not her thing. She hates them. She doesn't understand why I like them. It was a big problem when we first got together. That was one of the problems that we got into a big argument about it. And this goes back to me being stuck in my ways. Like, I come into this relationship thinking that, okay, well, I'm not going to change anything that I do. I'm not going to try to better myself or change some of my habits for the sake of my new wife. I'm just going to keep doing shit the way I've been doing shit. And she's just going to have to get used to it. Um, That's just the way I've always felt about it. We got into a big argument one time. She was like, instead of playing those video games, you could be doing something productive. And I got really upset at her, and I told her that, like, I don't care if you don't like that I play video games. I like to play video games. It's like a stress reliever. You know, this is what I do for fun. I don't do anything else except play video games for fun. And she, I think about all the times, man, we got into an argument and I just screamed at her. And I don't know if this is healthy or not to constantly dwell on these things, but I mean, right now, this is all I can think about, are these things. And, I know that eventually this will get better and I won't think about this stuff as much. But, right now, it's tough because, like I've said before, every relationship I've ever had, once I feel like I'm either done with it or it's going bad, I get the fuck out and I get away as far and as fast as possible. And I don't look back. I ghost them. They get ghosted. And I've been ghosted before, and I know how much that fucking hurts. But, like, I'm so caught up in my own my own little selfish ways that I don't care if I ghost them. And that's what I was doing to my wife. I was not considering her feelings at all. And I don't think I'm telling this. I don't even think I'm really making a point by saying this. I just think that, like, it feels good to hear myself say this stuff. To know that, like, I have fucked up and I've ruined this thing. And I'm not trying to dwell on it. I actually went back and listened to the first video I made on this channel a couple of times. I listened to the whole thing all the way through. I probably listened to the entire thing 5 or 6 times. And the first couple of times I listened to it, the parts in the video where I just start crying, I started crying while I was listening to it. I started bawling. And in fact, the first time I think I had to turn it off. I couldn't listen to myself. I couldn't hear myself talk about the horrible way that I treated my fucking wife that I love. I still love her. I still love my wife. Very, very much. And I don't think I'll ever not love her. I'll always love her, even if we're not together. I'd do anything for her. I mean, even at the very least, just because I owe her that. But as I was listening to this, this video, for the first time, I had to shut it off. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't listen to it. And then I made myself listen to it a second time and just cried and cried. And I listened to it a third, fourth time. And as I kept listening to it, I started to cry less. And I think because it's starting to sink in, and I don't know if it's good for me or not to listen to myself talk about these things. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't be. These are the thoughts that I have. But as I listened to it, I cried less and less. And I think the last time I listened to it, my eyes welled up a little bit, but I never, like, broke down in tears. Because I think I need to hear this. I think I have to hear myself say these things, to acknowledge them. And it seems like when I was younger, I used to... I don't know when this whole thing started, of where I would... Because I used to never think that, like, I had a problem. And there was nothing wrong with me. It was everybody else. Everyone else's perception of me was fucked up. And when I got angry and blew up at people, it was just, oh, well, they deserve it. Because they did a thing to me that pissed me off, and this is how they deserve to be reacted to. And I don't know what happened to where I was like, um, you know what? Maybe this is me. Maybe this is my fault. I can't think of. I mean, maybe maybe it was this relationship. Maybe it was the first time she wanted to get divorced. I don't know. I don't know, but like now, like I went from saying that everyone else is the problem to I'm the one with the problem. And maybe like I was using this as an excuse to break up with girls. Like maybe I just got bored with them and I just didn't want to hang out with them anymore. And so I just made up a fucking excuse like, well, you've got all this stuff wrong. I don't want to be with you anymore. Okay, I've got something I want to talk about now. I kind of figured I would do this if I just kind of got the ball rolling. I would start to get on course. So when I did stand-up comedy, there was a guy. I won't give any last names, but I will tell you his first name. I used to do stand-up comedy, and there was a comedian named Tony. Uh, Tony was one of the. He loved stand-up comedy. Loved it. He was all about stand-up comedy. Um, Me and him. If you were good at stand-up comedy, if you were good at it and you loved it, you and Tony would get along great. And the other thing was, I've seen him do it a few times. If you were the type of guy that came to an open mic, and like either your stand-up was fucking terrible, or you stole jokes, he would call you out in the middle of your fucking set for stealing jokes. I've seen him do it. It's pretty fucking awesome too. I hate people that steal jokes. I hate it. I cannot stand people that try to get props or try to get their come up by just lifting other people's material. You know, whether or not they think that they can tell the joke better or whatever the fuck, I hate it. I hate people that I hate joke thieves. Um, Years ago, I used to be on Twitter. I had a decent amount. I had about 2,000 followers. This is the same time I was doing stand up comedy. 2010, 2011. I had about 2,000 followers on Twitter, and when people would steal jokes, they would get called out immediately. Like because at the time, I really don't. I'm on. Well, I am on X right now, but you probably wouldn't be able to find me. At the time, if you got caught stealing jokes on Twitter, you got called out big time, and you were retweeted, and everyone saw it. So trying to steal like a fucking Mitch Hedberg bit or a fucking Norm Macdonald joke and put it on Twitter as your own, not a fucking good idea. And Tony, when we would do these open mics, Tony, I've seen him. Somebody would say a Mitch Hedberg joke or a Bill Hicks joke, and he would be like, "That's a fucking Bill Hicks joke," like just like that, dude. And I loved it. I fucking loved it because I hated joke thieves. Tony, I liked Tony as a person for sure. Now Tony had some issues. Tony, um, I can't remember if this started happening before I was doing stand-up, but Tony started to lose his vision, and it turned out he was getting like tumors in his brain. And they had to go in and remove like parts of his, oh, man, like, I can't remember exactly what it was. He had to have major invasive surgery on his head to remove like these tumors. And there was a family in like West Virginia or something, the Hatfields and McCoys. Apparently, I'm not completely sure on like all the specifics of this, but either the Hatfields or the McCoys, one of them, had some type of disease that caused them to be fucking psychotic. Like I said, I don't know. You'll have to look this up for yourself. I don't really know. But apparently Tony had this same deal. Tony was a bit paranoid. There was another comedian named Anthony. Anthony told me one time that somebody had done Tony wrong about something. I can't even remember what the fuck it was. But Tony went to Anthony and was trying to pay Anthony money. Because Anthony was a big motherfucker. And he also played rugby or something. He was a big fucking dude. He tried to pay Anthony to go beat the shit out of these guys. Like, to go find them and fuck them up. Because, and from what I remember, it wasn't even that big of a deal. Whatever the fuck it was. So, you know, that was kind of Tony. If Tony was, like I said before, if you were a good stand-up comedian, Tony was your best friend. If you sucked or you stole jokes, he wanted nothing to do with you. And it was kind of a big deal because Tony sort of was like the head honcho around the comedy scene where I did comedy. So Tony could make or break you, man. I actually, because of Tony, there was a comedian that came, what's his fucking name? It was, he was on that metal show. Oh my God, I can't remember his name. Hold on, let me get my phone. I could probably tell you real quick. Hold on. Don Jameson, that was it. Don Jameson of that metal show came and did stand-up, and Tony got me to open for him. No, I'm sorry. Tony opened, and I went on before Tony. So it was me, Tony, Don Jameson, in that order. And I thought that was so fucking cool, man. Like, I really didn't know who Don Jameson was at the time, but I did know that he was a big enough deal to where that Tony vouched for me and got me on that show. And I thought that was the coolest fucking thing. As a matter of fact, okay, so when I first started doing stand-up, my absolute favorite comedian of all time was Stephen Wright. I fucking worshipped Stephen Wright. His delivery, his deadpan, his jokes, dude. Stephen Wright to me was a fucking genius. And when I first started stand-up, I based my whole act on Stephen Wright. I was very deadpan. I mean, you know, I'm not going to tell you any of my jokes. I don't want to do that. That's kind of a cardinal sin of being a stand-up comedian, telling fucking people jokes. But, you know, tell me a joke. You know, you do stand-up, tell me a joke. That kind of fucking thing. I don't fucking do that. Anyway, the whole thing was a fucking character. So, like, if I were to tell you one of my jokes out of character, and you're not there to see my fucking, you know, my nuances and everything, it probably wouldn't even be funny. You know, it's one of those things where, like, you have to be there ready to see some stand-up comedy to think it was funny, you know. One time Tony went somewhere and he fucking met Stephen Wright. And Stephen Wright is not, he stays out of the limelight. He doesn't like to do interviews. He doesn't really do movies or TV anymore. I think I heard him do like a voice role in a movie not that long ago, like an animated movie. But like Stephen Wright he stays out of the limelight. I couldn't tell you the first thing about Stephen Wright could be dead right now and I would have no clue. Tony met up with Stephen Wright and he actually got him. He sent a video to me of Stephen fucking Wright telling me, oh dude, hold on, I've got the video. Hold on, let me see if I can, let me find it real quick, and I'll let you listen to it. Okay, hold on. Oh my God. All right, sorry, dead air, not trying to be, all right, here we go. Let's see, is it under this one? Oh boy, I don't know where the hell it is, dude. Is it this one? I'm real sorry, I know this is boring. I don't know. I'll have to find it. Maybe I'll put it on a separate video. You know, I mean, this is a fucking thing for me to get my feelings out. Anyway, just trust me. He sent me a video, Stephen Wright speaking to me personally, and I was fucking floored. I was floored that Stephen Wright made a message for me, and I kept it. I still have it. I mean, this was 15 years ago, and I still have it saved on the cloud. Um, so yeah, that's the kind of guy Tony was. Tony was also kind of known to be a bit of an asshole. Like I said with the Anthony thing, like, you got on Tony's bad side and it was not good. Tony could be very fucking vindictive, and he could be very, you know, he could be a very shitty person. I think that's kind of a staple of a lot of comedians, though. We have a lot of issues. We have a lot of problems. Um, Tony is no longer with us. Tony passed away a few years ago from the condition that I already mentioned. He died about maybe a year and a half ago. I haven't spoken with Tony, and I'm about to tell you why. So one, I found so at the time. Oh my god, this is gonna sound so dumb. All right, so at the time, well, okay, I was really big into Yellow Wolf. All right, just I know you want to turn it off right now. Just listen. I was really big into Yellow Wolf. Huge. I fucking loved Yellow Wolf. Yellow Wolf was coming to the city that we were in, and I told Tony, I was like, dude, will you go see Yellow Wolf with me? He didn't know the fuck Yellow Wolf was. Like, that wasn't his fucking thing. My other friend Anthony, the other guy I told you about, he knew who Yellow Wolf was, but I said, Tony, will you come see Yellow Wolf with me, dude? We'll have a great time. I'll pay for all your drinks. I'll pay for your ticket. I'll pay for everything. I'll drive you down there. Now, at this time, Tony, his condition had left him legally blind. I don't think he was completely blind, but he couldn't see well enough to do anything on his own, really. And my dad had the same condition, so I was very familiar with this condition. Um, what happened was one of the most fucked up things I've ever done in my life, and I still beat myself up for it to this day. Um, we we went to. Hang on one second. Okay, we're good. Okay. So we went. I went and picked him up. We went downtown. We got in the place. We started having drinks. Me and Tony were like, let's fucking do this. Now I was the driver, so I was not planning on getting drunk at all. I just wanted to have a couple of beers and have a good time. That did not happen. I had too many beers. Tony also drank way too much. Tony kind of saw that I was giving him an open bar, and he went a little nuts with it. Which, is something that he was kind of known for doing anyway. Now, look, I am not trying to speak ill of Tony. You guys have no idea who Tony is. I think the only person that might know who Tony is, my wife definitely knows who Tony is. Um, but I am not trying to speak ill of Tony. Like, especially now that he's not even with us anymore. Um, we were standing out in the crowd. Yellow Wolf came on stage. I believe it was Yellow Wolf and Ritz at the time. This is a while back. This was like 2014, somewhere around there. I think this was not long after my mom had died, and I kind of went on a bit of a bender. Not so much with alcohol, just like I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want to do. One of the things was like, I don't know. I don't really even know how to explain it. I made a lot of dumb purchases, which is nothing new, to me. Anyway, I'm getting off topic again. We were at the venue. Yellow Wolf was there. He came on stage. I had a hat on, and Tony said that, dude, he's like, throw your hat on stage, dude. It'll be funny. And I'm like, no, dude, no, I don't want to do that. No, wait, no, that's not what happened. Okay, no, he didn't say it would be funny. At the time, I was trying to start up like a motorsport-oriented clothing brand, and this was shit that like I would go to like drift events around my area. I sold shit online. I had my own website. I sold shit on Facebook. I made custom orders, but I made a lot of stuff I came up with on like not Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator. I would make a design, I had a heat press, I had a vinyl cutter, and I could make all these designs. And I had a motorsport clothing brand, and I was wearing the hat that had the name on it. Tony said, dude, Tony, okay, so Tony was a few drinks in. A lot of drinks in. Tony was pretty fucking drunk. Hold on just 1 second, sorry. Hold on. My wife's texting me. I forgot to tell her I was coming out here. Uh, in just a minute. Okay. Okay, so I had this hat that had the name of my brand on it. And Tony said, dude, throw that thing up on stage. Maybe he'll put it on and you'll get like some like free advertisement, you know, because certainly people are filming this shit with their phones and stuff. Um, you know, throw it up on stage, dude. And I was like, no, no, dude. Like, this isn't about, you know, this is about like I'm just here to. I love Yellow Wolf. I'm just here to see him. You know, uh, I don't. I'm not trying to promote anything. I don't want to do anything fucking crazy, man. Let's just have a good time and listen to the music and you know have a few drinks. And he's like, okay, you know, and I could tell he had that look on his face, like he was definitely, you know, a couple sheets to the wind. He asked me again. I said, dude, no, dude, come on. Dude, no, I'm not going to throw my hat on stage, man. Like, stop. Because I probably won't even get it back. Like, security will come take it, and I won't even get it back. So, a few more minutes goes by, and he takes the hat off my head, and he throws it on stage. And this triggered me. This triggered me because instead of realizing that he was just trying to do me a favor, which is what he was trying to do. He was trying to fucking do me a favor. You know, he was trying to help me out. That's what he was trying to do. I didn't take it as that. I took it as a personal. I took it as a personal insult because I had already told him twice that no, dude, I don't want to do that. Let's just have a fucking good time. Please don't do this, right? Like, dude, stop. I'm not doing that. When he took my hat off of my head and threw it on stage, that fucking triggered me big time. And my response to that was to turn around, storm outside, get in my truck, and leave. And fucking leave Tony at the venue. This legally blind guy. Now, I was pretty drunk at the time. I got in my truck. I drove about a block down to a Whataburger that was real close to the venue we were at. Parked my truck and passed the fuck out and woke up in the morning. Woke up to several missed calls and text messages saying, where the fuck are you? And these were not from Tony. These were from Tony's girlfriend at the time. I think I had one from Tony that said, did you just leave me? Or something like that. As soon as I woke up and I realized what I had done and what a bad fucking decision I made, my first reaction was not to call up Tony and apologize and beg him for his forgiveness. Because at the time, I was pretty much done with stand-up comedy. Like, I didn't want to do anymore. I was burned out. I felt like it was going nowhere. I was done with it. I felt like I had reached my end with stand-up comedy, and me and Tony were just hanging out as friends at this concert. So, like, me worrying about if Tony, you know, oh man, I'll never get another show booked with Tony again. That wasn't a concern in my head at all. So my immediate response was to go on Facebook and unfriend every comedian that I was friends with. And that was the end. That right there, that moment was the end of my stand-up, quote-unquote, career. I ghosted every comedian. A few of them tried to message me. I ignored it and blocked them. Because I had thought in my head that every one of these guys is going to be fucking out to get me now. Because like I said, Tony was the fucking guy. He was the fucking man when it came to stand up in that area. And if Tony doesn't like you, nobody worth a shit likes you around there. And I mean, we're not talking about, you know, uh, the only example I can come up with right now is like Kill Tony. We're not talking about Tony Hinchcliffe. We're talking about, this local comedy scene. But, I felt like it was really going somewhere. The comedy scene in our area is really going somewhere. As far as I know, it didn't. uh, it didn't. Quick little side story. When me and my wife first started dating, we were both involved with comedy pretty heavily. We went to go see a comedy show at the place where we used to do comedy, or I used to do comedy. And there was a girl there who was doing comedy when I was doing stand up. And she had the exact same set front to back as she did 10 years prior. And me and my wife just looked at each other and we were like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this fucking bitch is still doing the same fucking routine she's been doing for 10 years? Like, we couldn't fucking believe it. Anyway, so yeah, so the comedy scene really really didn't blow up or anything. So that was the reason. In the last video, I talked about when my wife hit me up on Snapchat for the first time that I thought this was a ruse. I really thought, as vindictive as Tony was, and like, you don't want to get on this motherfucker's bad side, I thought he was using my wife to try to figure out a way to get back at me. That's where my fucking head was. Not knowing that he didn't give a fuck, he probably forgot all about me. You know what I mean? Water, not necessarily water under the bridge. In fact, so let's back up a little bit. So this happened in about 2014. In about 2015, 2016, I met up with another comedian that I used to do comedy with named Chris. Chris messaged me out of nowhere. He had my, I don't know how he was able to get to me. I pretty much blocked everyone that I do comedy with. I guess I didn't block him. And he sent me a message and said, hey man, you want to go get a beer and catch up? And I was real apprehensive because, the whole, like I said, Tony had tried in the past to get people to, commit violent acts against other people if he felt like they deserved it. So, here I was afraid, oh my God, dude, fucking Chris is trying to get me to fucking, trying to entrap me and get me, fucked up by Tony and his crew of banditos or whatever. So Chris said, hey man, you want to catch up and go get a beer? Let's meet down here. So the place I used to do comedy at was about an hour away from my house. It wasn't even in the same state. It was a different state. Chris lived closer a lot. Chris lived pretty close to me at the time. In fact, a couple of times we rode together over to this other city to do comedy. I met up with Chris, hadn't seen him in a couple of years, and we talked, and the subject of Tony came up. And when the subject of Tony came up, which I believe I brought it up, I said something like, so how's Tony doing? And Chris got this smile on his face, and he said, man, what the fuck? Because he knew, Tony, no doubt in my mind that Tony, and especially his wife, who was a world-class cunt, nobody liked this fucking bitch, told everyone. I was now permabanned from ever thinking about doing comedy. Because like I said, Tony controlled it, man. Tony didn't want you around. You were not around. So me and Chris met up at this place on our side of the thing. And, he's like, yeah, what the fuck, man? And I'm like, dude, I was drunk and I made a really bad decision. And he's like, well, I'm going over there tonight. Why don't you ride over there with me and let's go talk to him? And I immediately thought, like, okay, well, this is a fucking trick. This is a trap, right? He's taking me over there so Tony and his fucking whoever the fuck he's got can beat the shit out of me. I knew this. I 100% knew this, and I still agreed to go, knowing that if I went over there, I was probably going to get my ass kicked. I knew this. I fucking knew. I had never been beaten up before in my life. And I knew that if I went over there and talked to Tony, it was going to end in physical violence. And I was going to be beaten badly, or I was going to be beaten to death. Like, I really thought. But at the same time, I was like, I really did a really fucked up thing. So whatever happens to me, I fucking deserve it. That's how I thought. If he decides to do that, whatever the fuck he does, I have it coming. I fucking deserve it. Me and Chris rode over there. We talked on the way over there. Chris is a good guy. He was also a very funny comedian. Chris, I don't want to say his last name, but Chris was a very funny comedian. He was up there in the ranks of Tony was a big fan of Chris because Chris had fucking excellent comedy. Tony loved comedy, dude. Tony was all about it. He rode over there. I remember pulling up into the parking lot, and I hadn't seen that fucking back door in years, and it was kind of surreal walking in there, knowing I wasn't gonna do stand up, but I was walking through that back door, and I was gonna see Tony face to face. It was fucking hard. It was really hard to do. It was a fucking hard thing to do. And by the way, if you're wondering why I'm talking about this, I'm trying not to talk about my wife or really my situation that's going on right now, just because I don't want to. I feel like I'm out of tears. I don't want to cry anymore today. I've had a really rough day with my son, but this is why I'm telling you about this. So I walked through that back door, and what happens is when you walk through the back door, you go through this hallway, which is about 20 feet long. When you come to the end of the hallway, the stage is to your immediate left, and if you look straight out from that hallway, all the seats are out there. Okay. Now Tony was the roast master general. He sat up on the stage in the back, kind of like he was the MC. He kind of directed everything. When I walked up onto that stage and I looked to my immediate left, I saw Tony and Jess, his now wife, sitting there. Tony couldn't see because it was real dark in there. His vision was fucking terrible. Legally blind, like I said. And he looked at me. Couldn't tell who the fuck I was. Jess looked at me and immediately recognized me. And she smiled and said, "Holy fucking shit." She said, "Wow, I can't believe you're showing your fucking face around here." And she turned over to Tony. She was sitting next to her. She's like, "Hey, look who's here." And, she said, "Charlie's here." That's not the stage name I had, but that's the one we're using for the story. "Hey, Charlie's standing right here." And Tony looks over, and he immediately fucking got mad. Immediately. Now, this was two years after this had all gone down and happened. Year and a half, 2 years, something like that. He stood up and kind of got in my face. And I said, "Tony, dude, I'm so sorry for what I did, man. You didn't deserve that. I'm not trying to get back into doing stand-up. I came here to apologize to you. I wanted to do it face to face. I didn't want to do it over Facebook. And whatever whatever you decide is what, I deserve. And he looked down and he shook my hand and he's like, man, I forgive you, but me and you are done. We can't be friends anymore. And I said, I understand. I understand completely. And I can't really remember what happened after that. I don't even think we stayed that long. I don't think Chris went up and did any. I think Chris just kind of wanted to get a beer and hang out for a minute. And I really think he did that just for me. Um, After that, I ended up never seeing Chris again. Um, Never seeing Tony again. Never seeing any of the comedians again. That's not true. I did see one of them years later. But yeah, man. That was such a fucked up thing that like I did. But that was how I responded to shit. Like that's the way I fucking dealt with people. This is the reason why I don't have any friends, because I fucking go from 0 to 100, like like that. And I still kind of beat myself up about it. I mean, it's easy to say water under the bridge, but you know, even now that Tony's dead, you know, um, yeah, I still feel pretty shitty about it. That's the kind of shit that I hold on to and I can't let go. Um, I don't know. That's kind of all I want to talk about right now. I got to get back inside. Me and my wife are gonna watch a movie. Also want to mention this. I can't even remember if I talked about this or not. You know, I said earlier, I feel like I've really felt change in my life, but unfortunately, like it's still too late to save my marriage. And I wish this was my second chance. I wish this time. I can't tell my wife this though. I cannot go in there and be like, hey, can you give me one more chance? I'm not gonna be that. I can't do that. How many times am I gonna break her heart before she fucking realizes that I will never change? I feel like this time the change is real, but at this point I'm doing it for me and my son. I mean, all my kids. I consider my wife's genetic children. I consider them my kids, man. I need to change to better myself. I told her, I told my wife flat out that like I'll never do this again. I will never have a relationship again because I don't know if I can do this again. Uh, I'm I'm too afraid of like what is going to happen. I'm too afraid that this is going to happen again. You know, and the thing that kills me, like I like what if I'm sitting here fucking like what if I find a new you know potential partner, and she what if I do this again and I don't realize that I'm doing it? I mean, I don't feel like I should deprive myself of happiness. I need to make my own happiness. I don't I I wanted my wife to make me happy. That's what I wanted from her. And she can't do that. She can't do that. My job is to make my wife happy. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not a happy person. I'm not content with who I am as a person. And it's almost like I want my wife there to make me feel good. Not like in a sexual way, but just being there. But I took that for granted. I took it for granted too many times, and now I'm losing it. And I feel like right now things have been better than they have ever been in our relationship. But it's too little, too late. She has got her guard up, and I can't blame her. I cannot blame her at all for having her guard up. She doesn't want to be treated like I have treated her anymore. She doesn't deserve that. She doesn't deserve that at all. No one does. Nobody deserves to be treated like, you know, however you feel like they should be treated that day. Or be like a secondary thought in your head, like, oh well, I'm gonna do what I want to do, but if I get around to it, I'll do something for her. I don't feel like I ever neglected. Like, I used to get my wife flowers a lot. Um, I mean, I say that, but like, I really only got her flowers when I thought about it. Like, that's the thing, though, right? Like, whenever I thought about it, like, what I should have done is been like, I'm going to get my wife flowers every Friday. When I get off of work, I will bring my wife home some flowers every Friday. That's what I should have been doing for my beautiful wife. Oh, fuck, here come the tears again. But it was only when I thought about it. Or when I felt like I had enough money to put towards flowers, because I'm a dipshit with money. Man, I hate this so much. I hate it. I hate it, but I cannot rely on my wife to make me happy. I cannot rely. I have to make myself happy. I have to be happy with who I am. I cannot be a miserable cancer around my wife and expect her to shower me with love and affection. I can't do it. And I do not want her to waste her time and energy when she has got enough fucking shit going on to worry about, making sure that I am pleased. This really helps to like get this out. I mean, I don't like I can't even remember if I talked about this already, but I feel like there was a relationship that I was once in, an extremely toxic relationship. I'll tell you about that another day. But there was a guy at work who I kind of befriended, and I dumped all of my sadness and misery onto because this girl didn't like me anymore. Oh, I don't know what to do. Why doesn't she like me? And I would just constantly go on it every day. And I know he was a fucking trooper, and he listened, but I don't think he wanted to. And actually, towards the end, he was like, dude, just fucking get over it, okay? Like, that's enough. That's enough. You need to fucking stop. And I feel like I don't want to do that. Like, I don't, like, anytime I'm telling people about my problems, I feel like I am just whining and complaining. Like, unless, like, the only person I really have not felt bad doing that on, I even feel bad when I do it to my wife, but it's like, who else, man? Who else is gonna? I don't have any friends. Who else do I fucking tell this to? I've definitely told my sister, and my sister has been a trooper and has listened to me and has put up with my shit. And my sister, if anybody knows about the kind of fucking shit that I'm capable of, it's my sister. But like, the only person I've really ever talked to and I didn't feel fucking like I was dumping on them was the therapist, because they were getting paid to listen to me. So I don't like to get people and like, like if I had a best friend, I don't even know if I would tell him all this stuff, because I feel like I would be burdening him with this information he doesn't give a shit about. So this has really seemed to help. Getting this out, just talking out loud, talking into a microphone, just getting it out has really seemed to, it helps, man. It helps just to get it out. It's like you're getting it off your chest, I'm definitely going to continue to do this. I feel like this is helping me. Getting it out like this instead of sitting alone with my thoughts, my thoughts eating away at me and not getting it out. I was actually talking to my sister earlier today, and I was telling her, like, I talk to myself a lot, which I do. I 100% do. When I'm in my car, sometimes when I'm at work, I gotta make sure nobody's fucking looking at me. But I will talk to myself a lot because I feel like I'm the only person that I can talk to. If that makes any fucking sense. And she told me she did the same thing. She told me, yeah, I talk to myself in my car all the time. She said she'll be listening to an audiobook in her car, start having thoughts and talking to herself, and then she'll have to rewind the book because she missed, like, a whole paragraph. And I was like, holy shit, I do the same thing. I used to have a failed business, where I transported cars around, and so I listened to a shit ton of audiobooks. And I would do that. I would start getting in my own fucking head and then completely miss a whole goddamn paragraph of what the guy just said, and I had to rewind it and listen to it again. Had to do that a lot, especially with Stephen King's It. Attempted to listen to Stephen King's It on audiobook, which is like, holy shit, dude. It's like 40 something hours long. It's a long ass book. But I had to do that a lot. I had to get through it. And man, there is a lot of shit in that book. If you've never read Stephen King's It or listened to it, there's a lot of shit in that book that does not come through on the Tim Curry movie. I can tell you that much. But anyway, that's going to be it for this one. I appreciate you guys listening. I'm glad I didn't cry as much on this one as my last one. I feel like I'm starting to get somewhere. It's still rough, man. I still think about, I still wake up in the morning thinking about that I've got to fucking get my shit out of the house and go somewhere else. And, you know, that's pretty rough because I feel like stuff right now is going like it should have been going for the past 6 years. But like it's too little too late. I've fucked it up too much, and my wife is tired of my bullshit and my excuses, and she doesn't want to fucking deal with it anymore. So, so the fact that I feel like our relationship now has been maybe better than it ever has been, or at least more honest, and I still have to get out of the house, that's kind of eating me up a little bit. I mean, I know it'll all work out in the end. It's fucking rough, man. I just, man, just thinking about life without her is hard. It's hard to do. I really thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with her. That's how I felt about her. I really thought that she was my soulmate, and I was going to spend the rest of my life with this woman. And I'm so afraid that this is going to happen again that I'm not even remotely interested in any type of relationship. Not a friendship, not a sexual relationship, nothing. I feel like I need to be by myself, which is probably not the answer. That's probably not what I need, but like, you know, that's how I felt for a long time. Like the first time we divorced or we split up, I felt like I needed to be on my own, away from everyone, away from everybody, just away. Instead of realizing that I need to work on myself, that was my answer, was to just fucking get away from everybody. Go be the old fucking crazy hermit in the woods. That's how those fucking guys end up that way, by the way. Those fucking old crazy men that live alone in the woods probably start out a lot like a guy like me. And that's not the answer. Shutting yourself off from the world is not the answer. The world is going to be here, whether you like it or not. And you have to learn how to deal with it and how to face it. Alright, so I need to end it right there. Thank you everyone for listening. How long did we record here? I don't even know. Holy shit, is that another hour? Damn it. Damn. Okay. Yeah. Fuck, dude. I don't even know if I'm sitting out here for an hour. I'm sweating my ass off in my car and it's raining. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to me. Trauma dump again. um, I'll see you in the next one.